Okay. I'm recording.
Okay,
So we're
sweet.
talking about Twig.
Yeah,
Tell,
so
tell us about Twig.
I think that like PalDev's Powellverse network, some people have different names for it, but I think it's a really interesting way to think about decentralized social media. Um, the idea is that there's sort of these concentric circles of trust that are built around an individual, and your innermost circle is like the people that you've manually selected, and you said, okay, I trust Jack. I trust Motful Winrux, and I trust Bon Bud McCraig. And then they each have their inner circle of people that they trust, and then those people have their inner circle of people that they trust. So when I send a message, it's going to send from my ship to all of my close circle, and then it's going to send one more hop past that. So if I'm friends with Jack, my message would go to Jack and then to all of Jack's friends. So everybody sort of gets a local view of the social network, and there's no central node anywhere that has a complete view of the conversation. Um, so it took me a while to figure out I guess, a design for a social media that would allow that, where you could kind of have conversations where people are replying to each other, but there's no central node that knows what all the messages are. Because you'll get in these situations where, like, I'm replying to a message and sending it to all of my friends, but the message that it's replying to is from a person that they've never heard of. So I have to do this interesting thing where I'm kind of sending uh, like subsets of conversations across the network. But that's nitty gritty developer detail stuff. I guess the important stuff is that, in my opinion, I think Twig is my very biased opinion, obviously, but I think Twig is to date one of the best social medias that's been made that's actually completely decentralized. Um, There's actually no central nodes at all, and yet you can actually have decent conversations on there, and um, yeah,
So the original node, which is you, I guess, is that how we started off? You posted to all your closest contacts, of which I was one, right? And now, so that lives on your loom, correct?
yes, yeah.
Now, does it live on my loom as well?
If yeah, it does live on your loom because I think we're pals on Urbit.
Okay. Does it live on the loom of all of my pals now?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Well, if they have Hawk installed, I guess pretty much. Um,
Right.
but I think the interesting part to me about it is if somebody um, booted up an Urbit and installed Hawk, they could start talking to their friends and they could have like an interesting conversation going on Twig that I would never be about because there's just no linkages between our social networks.
Right.
Um,
But if there were, you would know about it.
yep, as long as you're within one hop away from somebody, then you'll find out about it. Um, so yeah, it was a fun experiment. There's like some upvoting and downvoting mechanisms too. So a good way to find out about new people on the network is um, you can sort of boost a message further through the network if you
Hmm.
upvote it or downvote it, and that will like rebroadcast it to all of your pals. So if a message is really really popular, there's a chance it can spread to the whole network if enough people in different disparate networks keep passing it along. It could make its way through the whole network. So
Now, does this happen whether or not I open the Hawk twig window?
yes, it's yeah just in the background on your server basically whenever somebody posts a message to you.
So Hawk now has a mandatory social network.
Hawk has a mandatory social network. Yes. Yep.
I guess the only thing I don't like about Twig is that you disabled arbitrary HTML and Markdown.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that one was going to be a little bit controversial. Um, but it's just like if I allowed that, then people could like write a little bit of JavaScript, and then everybody else who opens that piece of Markdown, now their browser is going to run that piece of JavaScript. So it was just a really obvious security flaw. Um, and I think if you're doing something complicated enough that you're doing embedded HTML and Markdown, you should just be using Sail anyways, because it's just better for that kind of thing, honestly.
Yeah, I was looking to use Hawk more for my personal productivity
Mm-hmm.
and rather than, publishing on a social network. So I think I think social network is like just one of the things you can do in Hawk, but to make every other usage subservient to its limitations is kind of, uh, I don't like it.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
I, yeah, I was looking for the correct adjective, couldn't think of it.
Yeah, well, I just need to convince you that Sail is better than Markdown, and then you'll never need to use that dirty Markdown ever again.
So are we talking UDON really?
Yeah, yeah, Udon, which is
Okay, UDON and Sail. Does that give you mast together? Or is mast something completely different?
Mast is something different. Mast is like the back end web framework that lets you write. It's just a way to write server rendered applications on urbit. It's gone through a lot of different iterations at this point, but yeah, it's made by this guy named Robin. Yeah, Hawk doesn't use it, but I think a few urbit apps so far have. Yeah. Should I
Um,
show what Twig looks like? Would that be helpful?
yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. So the main view is just kind of like a forum. You can sort by new messages, if there's any new messages or replies anywhere in the messages, and then you can sort by old and upvoted.
So what determines new, active, old, and upvoted would be uh, after. Yeah, okay. I haven't seen the voting functionality yet.
Yeah, so it looks like one person voted this one up, and I think probably let me sort by top. I think the top one, yeah, it only has 7 upvotes and 1 downvote, so not too much activity on the network yet, but um, and then new is just based on the timestamp, and then active is based on the latest timestamp of any message that is either this message or any of its replies. So this one has 8 replies inside of it, and one of those 8 was the most recent thing posted to me anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Um,
What is the two refer to?
Two is there's 2 direct replies, and
Two
then
direct replies.
8 descendant replies. So replies of replies.
Okay, so
Um,
you get a sense for the tree structure of this conversation.
yeah.
Cool.
Um, and yeah, one of the design constraints that I was working with was I wanted you to be able to have like pretty in-depth conversations where people are writing a lot of text,
Hmm.
but still be able to post on old messages, which means that well, let me stop sharing this screen and share a different one where I can actually go through the process of. Here we go. This one. Great. Okay. So if you have unread messages that you haven't seen yet, um, people who you're connected to in the network started posting, you're going to get this button down in the top right that tells you have 6 new. And every time you open the app, you can kind of click through these. And because these notifications are going to show up for messages that are anywhere in the conversation tree, you have to really easily be able to skim what this is replying to. And the way I kind of think about this is every post has a headline that has to be less than 77 characters, and then there's an expandable body that can be, I think, up to 2,000 characters or something like that. So you can have some pretty in-depth conversations here, but the goal is that even if you're replying to something that's 2 years old, the reader will be able to pretty easily skim back and figure out, okay, this is a conversation that's talking about software distribution. I don't care about this. I'm just going to go to the next post here, and then click through these, and blah blah blah.
Cool.
Yeah,
So you've got some rudimentary tree traversal built in, which
yeah.
is useful for keeping track of where you are. Very nice.
That's right. Yeah, and you can view other people's profiles. Yeah, I won't show it off too much because it's, more or less a um, just a social media. You can see what posts people made. You can mute them and block them and see what they were mentioned in. And yeah, there's a view where you can just see a timeline. You can see what people have been upvoting and downvoting. So I modeled it very closely off of Twitter. Um,
Avowals. That is exactly what.
Avowals is an inside joke.
Okay.
Um, so, PalDev has this app called Rumors, and Rumors works with the same social network that Twig does. Where,
Yeah.
Hey, Robin.
hey Robin, we were just mentioning Mast actually. How are you?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, sweet, sweet. Um, yeah, but the avowals thing is a joke because Palfin Fosslip will sometimes make these like funny voice recordings that he posts in Rumors, where he'll go through and he'll read Rumors and then he'll say either avow or disavow after them, and it's it's just a funny thing that he does, and I thought it was clever, so I named the upvotes and downvotes avow and disavow.
Oh, okay. Cool. So, got it. Got it.
It's a little callback to the OG gossiper, Palfin Fosslip.
So, have you seen the demo of Clerd?
I have seen
I
the
think
Cloud
there was
demo.
a.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you used it?
No, no. I've used Sailbox, which is sort of the framework that Clerd is typing into, but I haven't actually ran Clerd yet.
Have you used Sailbox with urbit?
Yeah, Sailbox is a desk that the same guy who wrote Clerd wrote, and
Oh, okay.
it's like a framework for making web apps, I guess, and it's actually changed a lot recently, as far as I know. Um, but no, I haven't actually used it.
Yeah, a template, Hawk template for AI would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like the AI stuff has to be built into like Hawk itself, so that it can like type in into the code window instead of just typing into the data of a code window.
Uh, right. I mean, yeah, hooking up Cleared to Hawk would be
Yeah.
a big step
Yeah.
forward. That would be cool.
Well, I got word from Liam today actually. We've been talking a lot recently, and he's pretty close to publishing something, I think. I mean, uh, but he gave me a little code snippet of what the new Neo applications look like, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And he's got a lot of interesting AI integration stuff where he kind of rewrote Neo to be as accessible to AIs as possible. So everything is self-documenting. And at the top of um, like usually when the Hoon parser is parsing a Hoon file, it will parse like the import runes, and then after the import runes, it just assumes everything underneath it is Hoon. And what Liam did is he wrote an alternative Hoon parser that parses your import runes, and then it parses this like specially formatted documentation block, and then it assumes that the rest of it is Hoon. And that specially formatted documentation block is like defining the interfaces of the um, shrub that is being defined after it
Hmm.
in a way that's machine readable and in a way that's human readable. And I guess the whole point is to encourage developers to um, write the most AI compatible things that they can, because the whole point of a shrub is that it's composable, which means like once you have it installed on your system and an AI has access to reading these documentation strings, um, the AI can just sort of figure out how to mix and match them together to build all these other things. Um, and yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
making
very ambitious. I can hardly wait to see it in action. I
yeah.
was thinking of a much smaller thing that could be done in Hawk, and that would be because right now, if you go into the editor, actually, why don't I do that? I will I'll share my screen. Um, Here we go. So, like, yeah, go into the editor, and where you can, um, you can change the type here. What if you made your pith reading smart, and you could tell the dot suffixes of files like .md for markdown and
Mm,
.jpeg. You know,
yeah.
um, I mean, you could and then like instead of Hawk 500, maybe that should be Manx, or a three letter one, MNX, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I like that
Uh,
idea. Some
yeah, and then yeah.
like file types in urbit. What are you crazy?
Nah, exactly, file types.
Yeah, just little hints. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see you have a note on here about doc chords.
Yes, that was one of the things. So, um, you were pretty uninterested in dock chords, so I wondered if you would elaborate because, in fact, I think our short conversation was that dock chords puts, everything into a map basically, or really a core with arms, I think, but it is a map, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason you didn't like that. And I'm going, well, why not? It's exactly what you want. You want to be able to look up, documentation and signatures especially.
Yeah. So I went to one of the compiler working group sessions recently, and they were in the process of stripping dot chords out of the base structure and of the compiler and the parser. Um,
Oh, so they're just killing it off.
I think their
That's
days
one
are numbered.
solution, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think their days are numbered. But yeah, the reason I don't like a map is because the a map loses the ordering information. So when you're writing your core, you often
Okay.
will like, have your arms in an order that kind of makes logical sense as you're reading them. But if you were to like pull the dot chords information off that and try to make like a documentation site automatically
Hmm.
generated from the code, it would just be completely confused about, what the structure of the cores are, and it would lose a lot of the intent of the original author. So um, there's that problem, as well as I mean,
That's yeah, that one's surmountable because you just keep track of where it is in the original Hoon file.
but Docwords doesn't do that. That's actually what I was just about to say.
Right.
Like,
But okay,
the,
this is a use case I hadn't really even thought through, and it's
hmm,
just to me it's the less important of the use cases because I mean we've already got online documentation. It's not as well integrated. I mean, it would be nice if it was integrated with the code. If you only wrote the documentation once,
hmm,
I think that's where you're kind of what you're driving at, right?
yep, exactly.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of I want a tooltip in my editor, you know? And in fact, I want lots of tooltips. I want the editor to be really smart.
So,
And
you're
for that
writing
you
something like, you
for that
know,
you want a map. You don't really care
yeah,
about what order anything's in.
yeah,
Um, I guess
yeah.
another question I have, and maybe we can even test this one out. It's frequently slow to update or switch files. I wonder if I can make that happen right now. So, like, if I go, do, 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 let's, hmm. Oh, I know what I can do. Let's copy a slideshow. So, oh yeah, what's it doing right now? It's taking a while to open.
This is just doing an HTTP
No, I did
request.
that. An
Yep,
HTTP request to myself, and it takes
yep,
that long?
yeah,
Okay, that
yep,
kind of sucks. Okay, I just want to copy this. So we're going to copy this into um, the public PUB and give it a better name like timed, how about time slideshow? Because we're going to add a timer to it. Okay, then that went relatively fast,
yeah,
sort of. And then we edit this. Um, yeah, and we can take a crack at this whenever you want. Um,
yeah.
what were we just talking about? Do, 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 do. Oh, well, here's another thing we talked about is uh, you're dissatisfied with the current Hawk 500 type system or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't totally get why any of the current alternatives, like a mark file, um, isn't good enough.
Yeah. Um, well, I think the problem with MARC files is that they're kind of relative to a specific desk. So you could have the
Mm,
same MARC file in two desks that has a different definition. Um,
right.
and yeah, the problem that I was trying to solve with the Hawk 499 like pseudo type system was I wanted there to be a way to query a program that's running on somebody else's Hawk, and you could ask that program, what is your interface? What commands do you accept? And given a
Mm,
certain command, what are you going to respond with? Because I'm imagining a future where there's a lot of these programs running out there on the network, and you don't know about them beforehand, so you're sort of running a little bit of a discovery algorithm. You'll ping somebody and you'll ask them, hey, what interfaces are you providing? And they have to be able to provide their interface um, in a language that you already understand.
mm,
And I wanted to find a type that was flexible enough that it could describe an interface, but I felt solid enough with it that I wouldn't have to do some crazy upgrade with it in like 6 months. Basically, it's a protocol for defining the interfaces of these little Hawk micro applications. Hawk 500 is nowhere even close to this. Hawk 500 is basically just like a website builder, but
right.
Hawk 499 is like no, you could actually like send messages over the network, and you didn't have to store all your state inside of the interface in this really wacky way that Hawk 500 makes you do. Um, so I wanted it to be rigid and um, reliable over the network, but um, the reason we couldn't just use like the normal Hoon type system is because then you have to send a vase over the network, and those vases are really big and they're dependent on basically whatever the standard library is at the time. So I wanted something that was much smaller, basically just a noun that defined the shape of an interface. And I just got too big brained with it, is really all it was. And I tried to make it all like path based, and I tried to unify the type that described an interface with the type that defined all of the other file tree shaped things in the system. And I basically got carried away trying to make everything the shape of a tree. And, you know, probably for a command structure, you need something a lot less general than that. But
Right.
um, yeah, basically trying to do too much at once.
Yeah, I wonder whatever became of Seth's archetype uh, project. He shows up every now and then to
Yeah.
big urbit events, but haven't been able to talk to him about this. Seemed like that would have been the kind of thing that could have been used, maybe. I don't know. I only had a vague understanding of what he was trying to do with it, but he was trying to make some sort of, universal type system, essentially, that you could pass around types of nouns. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, the the editing functionality is actually quite pretty good. I mean, for just basic, I assume Vim does Vim stuff, and not being a Vim guy, I don't care that much about it. Um, but in terms of non-Vim, I mean, find and replace work. I imagine WordWrap does too, although I haven't used it lately. Um, what would be really cool to build in, and this is something that Urbit is totally built for, is macro record and playback.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't tried my hand yet at making a text editor where the backend is actually in Hoon. Um, because there's this awkward problem you run into where you like if your server is actually processing the state of your text editor, every time you hit a key, you have to send that command to the server to process the new state of your text editor and then back down to your client. So all the text editors that I've written so far, they're basically just JavaScript components, and they run in the browser. And ideally, one day,
Yeah, you can do record playback in JavaScript too. Remember, JavaScript is really scheme.
yeah. And there's they're actually like in the Vim editor here, you can do macros. So you can like, you know, spam queue and do all the nice Vim like stuff that you're used to with macros. Um, the problem with the Vim editor in Hawk is that it's like almost a megabyte of JavaScript code that you have to send from some, like I'm hosting it on some DigitalOcean right now, but I really want to get to the point where all of the assets that Hawk serves you are served from your ship so that you can be on a plane up in the air with no Wi-Fi and you just have this moon running locally on your computer and it all works just fine and it's really fast. So I can show actually I made a new text editor recently, and a new clay editor app. Um, so this is just like a basic clay editor, and this text editor, it doesn't have full Vim key bindings, but it has enough of them that I can like kind of get around and do what I need to do in here. I can like go to the top of the file, go to the bottom of the file, um, indent and dedent. So it has enough of the basic stuff. What it doesn't have is actual find and replace. I just have to use the browser's Control F and do the replaces manually. Um, so it's much worse than the existing Vim text editor. I'll say that, but it's literally more than 100 times smaller in terms of the amount that your browser has to process, which I like.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, and it also has search functionality, which I actually built a dot chord searcher into this, and I ended up
Nice.
ripping it out because, like, another problem with dot chords is like there's some arms that you would think you should be able to get the type information for, but because they're like nested in some gold core or something, the type information just doesn't propagate. So, like if you searched for um, del in sys with dot chords, you oh, I'm in the wrong disk. I'll search for lop in sys. So if you just do a text search, this will come up with the lop arm. But if you searched for dot chords, lop, even in the dojo, it has dot chords information, delete subtree, but dot chords information will not actually show for this because it's inside of this bar pat. And yeah, so I'm pretty bearish on dot chords, honestly. I think it's just not going to work out in the end, and they're already trying to strip them out of the compiler, so I think it's inevitable.
Well, guess
Sad,
that's
but
that.
yeah. My idea for it is dot chords should really be an alternative parser instead of built into the compiler. So if you want to build a documentation site completely generated from the code, you just run this alternative parser, and then it keeps
Hmm.
all the information about, okay, this arm started on this line and ended on this line, so you can pull that whole block into the documentation site. You could still do like those tooltip integrations that you were talking about. Um, if the
Yeah,
arm,
maybe the idea was to keep the uh, compiler super simple in that there's only one compiler, and there,
well, I think there should be one compiler, but I think
yeah.
there should be two parsers. One that keeps the doc informations and one that doesn't.
Yeah, there are reasons to do it with the compile though, so you can have interactive debugging,
Yeah, yeah.
with the
I mean, yeah,
actual
real
name
type
tokens.
information. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so in that sense, it really doesn't make sense for them to take it out.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, a bunch of people have joined us. Does anyone have any questions? We're just kind of rambling here a little bit. No questions. Will, do you want to direct things in any direction?
Yeah, I had one main thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is, um, after I sort of gave up on my current iteration of Hawk 499, I was thinking, okay, what if I just scaled the whole thing back and um, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel about data persistence in this tree-shaped mode, what if I just gave every Hawk file access to some obelisk data servers? Um, and if obelisk was a library and I could just pass in the database server as an object to the top of every Hawk file, and then if they wanted to mutate it, they could return a mutated database server as they're processing a command. And inside of there, they have access to all of the SQL stuff that you've built. Um, and it's a little bit less urbity in my mind because it's not path based as much, but it's a great way to store data, and it would have they're basically like global variables and tables.
Actually, yeah, totally possible. I've thought about that. Another way to do it would be, obelisk is merely a node in a pith, right? And then everything either below it or with the .uql suffix in any cousin, right, will execute it. And there could also be other. So I've already thought of ways of doing some of the database functionality in piths, essentially, paths really, but you can get much more granular information with pith, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, totally doable.
yeah, I think that's worth looking into. Because
So at some time I do want to get back to the Hawk interface to obelisk.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, where we left it off, you could almost load a file, I think, or you could almost save a file. I can't remember which one it was.
yeah. I think we just got to where it could do the queries, but you couldn't interface with your operating system.
Yeah, it's been doing queries for a little while.
Yeah. Who's your intern, by the way, or your apprentice?
Oh, Widmus Hassan.
Witness Hassan.
I think
Okay,
that's
cool. I
his
don't think I know them.
name, right? I didn't know him before either. Yeah, he's in Italy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. I think he might be going off and working on some Bitcoin hackathon shortly, so I'm not sure how much more effort he's going to give it, but he's been doing some good work that'll show up in the beta for sure.
Nice. Nice. How are you feeling about beta?
I've been kind of goofing off for the last probably about 3 weeks. So
Wow.
after I really I was grinding to get done this article for Neil. So there's going to be a obelisk article in the next USTJ. Um, Pretty
What's the
happy with
title of
it.
it?
Pardon me?
What's the title of it?
What is the title of it? It's I think it's something like reinventing SQL for modern computing.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. You know who else is making a USTJ article? Tiller told us,
Uh,
baby, he's back.
what's he write? I called him yesterday. It was
Oh,
funny.
nice, nice, nice.
So what it, which of his many projects is he going to be writing about?
He told me it was about preventing network partitions. It's like a Bitcoin game theory or something. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah, or something to do with PKIs. I don't exactly know, but
cool. Well, I
we'll
kind of
see.
hope you get back to making Hawk and Twig separable. Because Twig is great. I just don't have too much use for it,
And you don't
actual
want
use.
you don't want Forful Nerful shit posts on your loom.
Eh, Yeah, that, yeah, that, and I want to I want to actually start seriously using Hawk, for
Yeah.
my personal productivity. I, I barely scratched the surface, but I think I'm at that point now.
Okay. Cool. Would it be helpful if I showed you like the things that I use Hawk for day to day?
Yeah, sure.
Let me see if I can not give away too much.
One thing I would be interested in, and you've mentioned this before, you save your your backups offline, right?
I
I
do.
mean, offline, yeah. And that's all done in Urbit land or mostly in Urbit land. How
Um,
much of it is not in Urbit land? Let's put it that way.
the backups are not in Urban Land at all.
Okay.
I just click the button in Hawk to download my full subtree as a jammed
Mhm.
noun, and it saves to my computer's desktop.
Okay.
Yeah,
And are you running Mac or Linux?
Mac.
Mac. Okay. Wonder
Yeah,
what it would do in Linux would probably do the same thing, I guess.
yeah. It's just a file pretty much.
So
Uh,
there is a button in Hawk.
yeah, there is a button. Dude, we are button
I
maxing up here.
Yeah.
I have a
Um,
question. Is my mic on?
Yeah, I can hear
sure.
you. What's up?
Oh, okay. So, how hard would it be to make it like an accessible file, a text file, let's say, or something, or multiple text files? I don't know.
Um, yeah. Good question. I worked with Hawk 499, the thing that is currently abandoned. Um, I had import and export working with .tar, TAR. which meant you could export a subtree and then you could unpack the .tar into a bunch of, if it was a markdown file, it would then be a markdown file on your desktop, and then you could re-upload a tar file or a directory of files with certain file extensions, and it would work. But none of that actually ever got shipped, and it's currently in an abandoned state.
Oh, but that would be perfect, though. Yeah. I mean, so each file, like if it's a Hawk file or a JavaScript file or CSS or whatever, they just are that file in the tar archive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that would be like a dream come true. Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, how come no other Urbit app has ever done that? I don't know, but that to me is a big part of the promise of Urbit. Like, you own your data, but I definitely don't own my data from like Twan chat. You can't even there's no way to get it out in a sane manner. Anyway.
Yeah, and even in Hawk, it's like, yeah, sure, you can download it, but there's no other application that you can import a .jam into, so it doesn't feel good in the way that I understand what you're saying. Yeah. But Jack, yeah,
I still like that. I didn't ever try that. I didn't notice that in 499. So good job. I think
yeah.
awesome.
Well, hopefully one day I'll get my shit together and actually ship it for once. But yeah, we'll get there. Malware, if you haven't tried Twig yet, by the way, you got to get on the Twig, brother. We're all about Twig.
No, I have not tried it. Sorry, no, I'm delinquent.
We need your shit posting prowess.
Okay, well, yeah, no, I just want to make a new number system, but I don't think anybody quite got that.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I really don't think anybody quite got it. But basically, that whole calculator thing, I mean, it was kind of like fake. But I don't know if anyone could tell even that it was fake, like what it was faking. But, in theory, I'd like to have, we need rational numbers, essentially, on Urbit. And the rational number is real easy. It's just a cell. So anyway, my idea was to make the calculator on Hawk as kind of a demo of, hey, look, isn't this cool? But I don't know.
Is rational number not on Urbit somewhere?
There's floating point, which that would be the closest thing, I think.
I thought someone implemented rational somewhere.
No.
Maybe not.
No, that's not really a normal thing. It turns out.
You could do it. You could do it and earn the everlasting gratitude of everyone on the network.
Well, I kind of I made the spec, I made a little white paper, and I made the calculator, but yeah, I don't know. You would like that?
Rational numbers have their place in computer programming for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be slow as hell, I'm sure, on Urbit, but in Hoon, but it would be accurate. Pretty sure.
If I did it right, yeah. I'm not really a programmer, but
okay.
But I did a.
Well, learn to code, buddy.
Well, go to my calculator, man. I mean, I coded. I may not be a programmer, but I did program. I mean, I wrote I don't know how many thousands of lines of JavaScript that stupid thing, fractional calculator is. But
yeah. Oh wait, Will. Before you go anywhere, how did you get to that page? I was just trying to get to that page on my Hawk, and I don't see it.
You just hit edit, and then you go to meta.
But what file are you on? Or where in your pith are you at this point? Yeah, I got all these subfiles in meta, but I wasn't getting profile information. Yeah, I wasn't seeing any of this.
This is custom to me. I made this.
Oh, this is your custom shit.
Yeah,
okay.
I wanted it so that when you go to willhanlon.com, you see my homepage. So I came in here and I coded a little homepage. But I can see a little bit of extra stuff. I can see this timer here. and I can see my dashboard here. So I don't use landscape anymore. I just have links to like Talon that I click here, and it, puts me in my Talon app. If I want to go to rumors, I go to apps, and then I click on rumors, and then I'm on rumors or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I most of what I use it for is like if I need to write an invoice, if I'm listening to some music, I have some files in here, track some recipes, do my writing, work notes. It's sort of like Obsidian, but worse in like most of the ways. But I can get it on my phone, and that's really the thing that I'm working on it for. Yeah, I have some checklists and some habits that I would be embarrassed to show on screen. Um, yeah, let's see. Maybe Hawk.computer is a better demonstration here. Yeah, okay, so when I do writing, when I come to this page, I can see the published and the unpublished ones. But if you go to this page, you'll only see the published ones. And that's based on whether or not I've set this can peak flag for everybody else. But as soon as I set that, then everybody who has the link can go and read my blog post about software distribution or whatever. And the big mistake that I made when writing this initial application model is that I only let the developers run code when there's an HTTP post request, but for reasons that were later revealed to me by actually trying to use this thing, it turns out you need to have an application model that lets developers run code on a GET request as well, because you just need to be able to do that. So my model here is just not powerful enough, and then I tried to make it too powerful with Hawk 499. So the next version is kind of going to be this middle ground where it's still mostly based on Manx, but it gives you more of the traditional web server powers, and most of the time you're going to be writing them inside of a thread. So the goal is the thing that Twig currently is won't have to implement its own interface. The agent itself will only implement the backend stuff and the processing that actually sends messages over AIMS, and then its interface will just be a Hawk file that scries out to the agent and handles the server sent connections and that kind of thing. And then you have a nice separation of your backend and your front end, and then you can get the thing that Forful Norful wants, which is, I'm a developer and I didn't write this app, but I want to write my own custom interface to it that's still compatible with the backend, so that I have full control over how this thing looks and I can share it with my friends. And as long as they're running the same backend, it all just kind of fits together. But yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier working Hawk into obelisk, and that's actually something I was thinking about. I've been thinking about more lately, which once obelisk gets actually useful, one of the next things I take on probably should be stored procedures. And that would be, there's a lot of fertile ground there on what you could do. You could literally, put sail in there.
Yeah.
Make it very closely aligned with Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say, have you think of a calculator with a tape on it, like a receipt printer? I don't know if you've ever
Right.
seen something like that.
I have a calculator that does that, by the way.
Yeah. So could I make, my calculator has that on Hawk, kind of, but could I put the history of the calculations into the obelisk database? Or would that be possible?
As long as everything is atoms, yeah. I mean,
What do you
So in
mean
other words,
everything atoms?
right now, the obelisk databases only support tuples of atoms.
Okay.
So as long as that's what your data structure is, a tuple of
No,
atoms,
not really. No, not necessarily.
um,
I mean, not.
you'd be
I don't know.
surprised.
I don't know. It could be. I guess. I mean, I could. One could export the whole like you're saying. Okay, I just tried to calculate whatever 10 divided by 365 or something, and
Hmm.
equals, and you get it, and then um, you could just store that whole thing as a string, I guess, a chord or whatever, and then pass it to that. But I don't know if that's quite as useful. Or you could have it going into multiple rows. I'm just thinking of it like a spreadsheet. You could have different columns, right? Column one could be for
Yeah, well,
the
that's what a
first.
relational database is. It's a spreadsheet.
Well, that's what I would think would be more useful than doing the whole thing as a string, because then you would have each individual
Right.
element of the equation. You could store it separately, and who knows what you could do with that? Maybe nothing, but maybe it
Yeah,
could
that's what
come
I
in
meant.
useful.
It's a list of it's an ordered list of tuples. I mean, that's what a spreadsheet is. You get right down to it. You know, you've got formulas in some of those um, places for tuples. But what gets yeah, anyway.
Could it be? I mean, I mean, the difference, if I understand it right, is it doesn't have to be exactly a grid like a spreadsheet, right? It can be whatever. It can be
Uh,
recursive. You can go down.
right.
One cell can be, or one, yeah, Excel cell. One little block can be split indefinitely, however you want. Is that right?
Uh,
The structure can be arbitrary, however you want to structure it, whatever
right.
relationships
Right.
you want.
Yeah, your structure is totally arbitrary. Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Just because, I mean, being rational, each each term could be, 4/3. It could be 4/3 over 3/5. It could be whatever, as big as kind of you want in theory. Um, as many things it could be many things stacked up, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that'd be cool if it was able to put it in obelisk, since that would make it more useful and more maybe persistent or whatever, backed up, than just the
Well,
simple
in other words,
text list.
you want to record all the calculations you've done and their
Yeah,
results.
yeah. I just
Yeah.
want a permanent record, and then if you're thinking, oh, what was that that I measured back on? I know it was on the 15th or whatever, and I took the sign of it or what, and you can look back and say, oh yeah, there it was, and
Right.
then I don't know, because
Yeah,
sometimes
I've never
those things
used
are
this
also.
product, but I've heard that QuickBooks is very popular. So, yeah, that's a big calculator with a database.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, so it sounds like it would be possible, but I have no idea how it would do it. But yeah, if you can, I figured out how to put it in Hawk. There's some way to store things into an obelisk database. Um, you know, that us mortals could figure out how to do.
Hawk is about
I'd
the
totally
most
do that.
contrived way to store data out there. So if you could figure out how to store it in a Hawk file, you could figure out how to store it in Obelisk. That's for sure.
Okay. Well, I only figured that out because you helped me, I
Yeah, actually,
think.
go read the user's guide. There might if all you're interested in doing is storing data, even the alpha might, you know, be good enough
Okay.
for your use right now. Just go out to let me type it in the chat. So uh, docs. I think it's in the docs folder, and just read the user's guide.
Okay. Yeah. All right. and then I'll be
There
able
you go.
to basically post. I assume I can somehow post it. I have to be running obelisk on my ship or whatever, and then you post it into the obelisk, right? And then you
Right.
have
And the current Hawk template for obelisk actually works on the alpha version. So it might not work in the beta version. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet. But last we tried it, it worked on alpha.
and then will that be exportable or human readable or whatever? Like, will I be able to access that, stick it back up on a flash drive, things like this? Or I don't know anything about obelisk, and it shows. Sorry, or
Oh
not
yeah,
much.
well
I heard your
obelisk lives in
podcast
your
back in the day, but
yeah, obelisk lives in your peer if you have it installed. And right now you need to manually install it.
right.
So when the beta hasn't come out yet, but the beta hopefully will have, normal over the air uh, installs. Like
But I mean,
got
obelisk
and
is the program essentially, right? And
right.
then is it also is there just one database file essentially that it runs at
Um,
a time?
well, there's one server, so it's very much like other database engines work. So there's a server that lives on your computer, and a lot of other database engines you can actually run multiple servers on your computer, but in Urbit right now you can only run one obelisk. So there's one obelisk per ship.
Okay, yeah, and so that means one database, right?
No, one server. You can have as many user databases as you like. So you can
Okay,
create multiple user databases. Eventually, you can have all sorts of different security setups for them as well. So you could have some that are completely private, others that you could share, that sort of thing.
so you could have a database for it wouldn't have to just be different columns, if you will. You could have a separate database for your calculator, one for your to-do list, one for your whatever,
Exactly.
your history of how well you're doing on your exercise routine or something, all the things you would do in Hawk, right?
If that's how you want to organize it. And then there's also namespaces. So within each database, you can define multiple namespaces if you so desire. And then where the actual data physically lives is in tables. And you get to define the tables however you like as well. So it goes server, of which you only have one, databases, many, as many as you desire, tables, as many tables in a database as you desire. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So what I was
Oh,
saying,
and
right,
namespaces between tables and server, right? Or
so they go
between
across.
database. Yeah. So
The
within a
namespace goes
database, you can
across.
have multiple namespaces.
Okay. But the namespace is just within one database, is that right?
Right. Yep. Only applies to the databases defined in.
Oh, okay. So what I was saying was probably totally, yeah, that wouldn't be how you'd want to do it. You'd have probably one database and just multiple tables within that database. Multiple databases would be kind of overkill. Or you don't
You
need
can
a
do it
separate
that way
database for
too.
your,
There's a lot of flexibility in how you can design.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Well, but unless you're doing 100 exercise workouts a day or something, probably would be overkill to have a separate database just for that. Or I don't know. Depending on how long your to-do list is, I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, One other thing, I wouldn't be careful about saving anything in the alpha version right now, because I don't think I'm going to make it easy to migrate data between alpha and beta. Although realistically, it shouldn't be that hard either.
Well,
So,
fair
but just
enough.
be
But is
aware.
it a kind of a text-like format? I mean,
Yeah.
like, can I open
So
it
it's,
in Notepad and read it
yeah.
with some? Okay, yeah.
Yep. So everything looks just like it does in Hoon, right? So unsigned decimals are just, your integer numbers. Chords exist inside single quotes. And there's only chords, there's no tapes, because tapes are actually a list of chord.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Dates, date times, that exists. Signed decimal exists too. There's actually like,
Yeah.
there's like 16 different atom types.
Yeah. Yeah. I made the little chart for that. Will saw it, a kind of a star of, yeah, but so that's where my number system would be different, that it actually isn't an atom with an aura. You need multiple atoms. Just split it out. One atom for the denominator, one atom for the numerator. That's
right.
Neither here nor there, I guess. But
I think it's
that's
cool.
cool.
I would love to see a calculator that brings your full rational number vision to fruition.
Yeah. The what I had is basic, but you could add. I don't know what people what would you want to add first, like the sine, cosine, tangent, or
Yeah.
I don't know what people use. Switch to hexadecimal.
Hexadecimal, yeah.
Maybe I don't know. That's what they have on electronics engineer calculators. But
Yeah.
thanks for letting me know about that. The obelisk. Okay, I'll have to read the How do I see the chat there? This is how much. Where did we go? Okay, there you are. Now you're
Anything
back.
else you think, Jack?
Well,
What's that?
Anything else we should discuss here?
I'm about discussed out. Hassan wants to know what's going to happen to the recording. I think I shall post it in my YouTube. How about that?
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, Will, thanks a lot.
Yeah, it was fun.
Always great talking to you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to doing more with Hawk.
Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Looking forward to the return of arbitrary HTML.
Don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. But it's all good because Sail exists and it's so much better, and you can do arbitrary everything inside of it, and it you don't have to use these terrible angle brackets. It's just better in every way.
I did
That's
figure
true.
out Sail, so plug for Sail. I like Sail.
It's great.
It's so good. Okay.
It's so good. People underestimate Urbit's. I actually have made a game with Sail, actually, Hassan. Yes. Let me see if I can actually find the link to it. It was a fun game. Is
it the one where you kind of fly around?
Yeah.
Where there's things flying around? Yeah, I think I did that, and I think I'm good at it.
Sometimes you're just bored, and what would that be called? Gosh.
It probably has 4 letters.
Yes. Cetus. This thing. Hold on. Okay, J to go. This was the first game ever made in Hawk.
This is called Capture the Comet.
Yeah, this is avoid the bag holders, and the bag holders are these red blobs here. And you have to go into the green Ethereum bubbles. If it was Bitcoin themed, they'd be orange. It was fun. It gets boring after about a minute, but it's good to click on it every 6 months to remind myself that I wasted a full day doing this.
When I did it, I feel like there was some sort of high score list that I was way at the, probably Tiller Toll Bus was at the top or something. I didn't even, I feel like there was a high score list. Am I imagining that, or?
Yeah, you're imagining that.
Really?
Yeah. You know, it wouldn't be too hard to like,
Uh,
once you've made one pals based app, you just see them everywhere and you realize like every single player application that you make, you could just put a little pals layer on top of it and all of a sudden your single player thing is a multiplayer thing. And yeah, if it wasn't for my now hatred of sitting in front of a computer, I'd be just doing that for all my apps. Yeah. Okay, I'll post the link to that, and then I actually got to run. I'm going to go play some tennis. But it was great hanging out with you guys.
I'm off too. So talk to y'all later.
Yeah. See you all around.